Hey everyone, getting ready for your Haryana board exams? Well, you've come to the right place. Today, we're going to break down the entire 2020 social science paper, Set A, piece by piece. By the time we're done, you'll know exactly how to structure your answers to get those top marks.
Okay, before we jump in, a quick but important shout-out. This whole breakdown has been put together by an expert, Mr. Mukesh Kumar Jain, who's a lecturer in economics. So you can be sure you're getting top-notch, reliable advice here.
So here's the game plan. We're going to tackle this paper section by section. First up is political science. Then we'll jump into geography and wrap up with economics. And stick around till the end, because I'll share some key takeaways for the exam so you know exactly what those examiners are looking for.
All right, let's kick things off with political science. This covers questions 9 all the way to 19. You'll see it's a mix of some really quick fact-based questions and others that need a bit more thought. We're going to go through every single one, so let's get started.
First up, the one-mark questions. These are your quick wins, the easy points. Question 9 asks about the largest social group in Sri Lanka, and that's the Sinhalese. For question 10, someone who believes in equal rights is a feminist. And question 12 points out that societies in Sweden and Germany are considered homogeneous. Just knowing these simple facts get you on the board.
Next, question 11 is a definition. It's about the Seven-Party Alliance, or SPA. Now, for a one-mark question like this, all you need is one solid sentence. You just have to say it was an alliance formed by the 7 major parties in Nepal's parliament, and their whole goal was to restore democracy. That's it, a perfect one-mark answer.
Okay, for question 13, this is a 2-mark question, so you guessed it, you need 2 points. It's asking about the achievements of local governments. Point 1, they strengthened the very roots of democracy. Point 2, they boosted women's political participation through reservations. 2 marks, 2 clear points. Simple as that.
Now for question 14, another 2-marker. Why does India have a multi-party system? The key here is to connect it directly to India's incredible diversity. I mean, think about it. India is just so vast, both socially and geographically, that a 2-party system could never represent everyone. So this multi-party system just kind of evolved naturally to reflect that.
Question 15 asks for a 2-mark definition of a secular state. Again, a really clear, comprehensive sentence is what you're aiming for. It's basically a state that doesn't have an official religion. And, just as important, it gives every single citizen the freedom to practice whatever religion they want. That's the core idea.
All right, let's look at question 16, a 3-marker. Here you have to compare pressure groups and movements. First, what's the similarity? Well, neither of them directly runs in elections, but they both try to influence politics. And the difference? Pressure groups are usually pretty organized, with a formal structure. Movements, on the other hand, tend to be much more loose and informal. One similarity, one difference. Done.
Question 17 is a classic 3-mark question. What are the challenges to democracy? The key is to lay out 3 distinct challenges. First, there's the foundational challenge, getting rid of non-democratic governments. Second is the challenge of expansion, which means including all regions and groups. And third, the challenge of deepening democracy, which is all about strengthening those democratic institutions. Nail those 3 points, and you've got it.
So, how do social divisions affect politics? That's question 18. For a solid 3-mark answer, you really need to show both sides of the coin. On the positive side, it can actually give a political voice to disadvantaged groups. But the negative side is pretty serious. It can stir up hatred and division and lead to what we call vote bank politics. Covering both the good and the bad is how you get full marks here. Okay, here's a big one, a 6-mark question. Number 19 asks for the functions of political parties. For 6 marks, you need to list at least 6 clear functions. So let's run through them. They contest elections, they create policies and programs, they're involved in lawmaking, they form and run the government, they act as the opposition, and they shape public opinion. You'll want to briefly explain each one for a top-tier answer.
And that's a wrap on political science. Now let's switch gears and dive into geography. This section covers questions 20 to 28, and we'll be looking at everything from India's resources and agriculture to its infrastructure.
Just like before, the geography section kicks off with some quick 1-mark questions. Let's fire through them. Question 20, the important rabi crop? That's wheat. Question 21, the best iron ore? Magnetite. Question 23, what kind of resource is soil? It's a renewable one. And finally, question 23, what's rainwater harvesting? It's simply collecting rainwater for future use. 4 quick facts, 4 easy marks.
This slide covers 2 2-mark questions.
Let's start with 24. What's a basic industry? Well, it's an industry that other industries depend on. A perfect example is iron and steel. So you need that definition and the example. Then for question 25, it's about the benefits of pipelines. Just lists two clear advantages, like they provide an uninterrupted supply and they're safe and cost-effective. All right, question 26 asks you to tell the difference between anthracite and bituminous coal. When you get a question like this, a comparison table is your best friend. It makes it super clear. Anthracite, that's your top quality, super hard coal with the most carbon. Bituminous, that's the one that's most popular for commercial use, especially in metallurgy. Laying it out like this is the best way to get full marks. Now for another big 6-marker, question 27, all about rice cultivation in India. To get all 6 marks, you need to hit several key points. You got to talk about the climate needs, high temps, lots of humidity. Then, mention the main areas where it's grown, like the northern plains and coastal regions. List a few key states like West Bengal or Punjab. And definitely don't forget to mention the impact of irrigation, which has made it possible to grow rice even in places with less rain.
All right, we're on the home stretch. Let's get into our final section, economics. We'll be tackling questions 29 to 35. This part of the paper will really test your knowledge on things like development, different employment sectors, and, of course, the role of money. And we're starting economics with those quick and easy 1-mark questions. Question 29, which country has a better Human Development Index than India? The answer is Sri Lanka. Question 30, what's the organized sector? It's where jobs are regular and registered with the government. Question 31, what's the service sector? It creates services, not physical goods. And finally, number 32, the Consumer Protection Act was passed in 1986. Boom, 4 more points.
Okay, let's look at question 33, the definition of disguised unemployment. For 2 marks, you need to be precise. It's not just that people look like they're working. The real key is that their actual productivity is 0. If those people were removed from the job, total production wouldn't fall at all. That's the core concept you need to explain to get the marks.
Question 34 is a really interesting 3-mark question. It asks how money solves a major problem. The best way to answer this is to set it up as problem and solution. First, what was the problem? In a barter system, you needed a double coincidence of wants, a huge hassle. Then, the solution, money. Money acts as a medium of exchange and completely gets rid of that problem. Framing it that way is a surefire way to get the marks.
And here we are at the final question, number 35, another 6-marker. This one is all about the rising importance of the tertiary or service sector. You need to explain the main reasons why it's growing so fast. Hit these 4 key drivers: the growing need for basic services, the development of other sectors that need support, rising income levels, and of course, the boom in new IT-based services.
So, if there's one massive takeaway from this entire paper breakdown, it's this. Always, always write your answer according to the marks. If it's a 2-mark question, give 2 clear points. If it's a 6-mark question, you need to provide a lot more detail. Matching your answer's length and detail to the marks is absolutely crucial.
And hey, to make your studying even easier, you can download a complete PDF of this entire solved paper. The link is right there in the description box. Go through it, practice these answers, and really lock in the strategies we talked about. Good luck with the exam. You're going to do great. You've got this.